Today, we're gonna find out how good this light cone is. I'm gonna do my best to make this thing viable. But honestly, I only maxed it out because Topaz is really hot. I couldn't find any info on this thing, so here we are. Now hopefully I can show you either a good way to make use of this or save you a lot of resources at my expense. It's gotta do some damage though, right? I mean, just look at the size of those planets. Okay, I admit it. I might have a bit of a problem. Let's run down the basics. We're at S3, which should be a good middle ground. This light cone increases the wearer's defense and has a base chance to apply a burn to the enemy that hit them. And it also works with AoE attacks, so even if they're not directly targeted, it will apply the burn. Base chance goes from 100 to 120%, and on screen you'll see all the EHR requirements to guarantee it on enemies with 40% effect res, which is the highest, but honestly, don't worry about it too much. And the dot itself deals fire damage, of course, scaling off of defense. Let's just take a quick look to make sure it also scales off of fire damage bonus. So we have the burn applied. Let's take a look at Trailblazer's stats as well. We have this amount of defense. It'll be the exact same for the second one. 0% fire damage bonus. So let's see how much this does. Raw. 876. Okay, now we have Asta in the party. None of Trailblazer's gear has changed. We have the dot applied, and all we need to do is increase our fire damage bonus, which we can see here. Same defense, 42% from Planetary Rendezvous and her Ascension passive. So, let's see how much it does now. 1,244. Sounds about right, so we know it works. Okay, with this knowledge, let's try to maximize the dot damage. We'll need well, let's just take a look at these real quick. So, we'll need a defense body, defense boots, fire damage orb, and defense rope for total stats of 3,258 defense with 38.8% fire damage. So 2,543 is the double damage. 1,271 is regular damage. This is not good. This is really bad. And honestly, it's so disappointing. But that's okay. What if we add on every single buff in the game that you pretty much can? We have an Asta with Planetary Rendezvous, almost 100% Def Shred, res reduction, what else? Double damage from the turn cycle and vulnerability, 7,427. I actually have some pretty good gameplay of Fire MC using Trend of the Universal Market, but realistically, it's not the light cone. It's mostly a Kafka, Sampo, Asta show, with Fire MC actually doing a really good job solo sustaining them. This is Memory of Chaos 10, and it's definitely worth watching while I give you my thoughts. Now, I do think that there is this is so copium, but I feel like there is potential for this light cone in the future to be really strong on maybe a preservation character that also works well with dots, like they can apply dots reliably or they buff them. So I don't know, I think the dot archetype is one thing that you can consider. This is pretty much the full dot comp. Like Asta gets a very minor dot on her basic attack, so everyone on this team kind of contributes to it. And of course, this is one of the best memory turbulences that does 200% dot damage at the start of every cycle. So if there's any time to showcase this weapon, it's now. Unfortunately, 60% of defense at, what is this, Super Imposition 3 is nothing. And it would be a totally different story if it was off of HP, but this amount of damage is so negligible, and it's really unfortunate. But again, it's not a totally useless light cone, and I'm trying to be optimistic here. At worst, it's just a light cone with plus defense, which is pretty good for our March, I was going to say Artumbo, but that's my character's name. Fire Trailblazer and Geppy Boy. You can actually throw this on any of them, but of course it works better on Fire Trailblazer because he also does fire damage in his kit. But Yeah, aside from the defense bonus, there's one thing that I really don't like about this light cone, and it's got more stats into base HP instead of defense. It's got lower defense than like every other 4-star preservation light cone. But if you don't have any options, then it's not terrible. I would probably give this a solid 4 out of 10. If not for the low base defense, it would get a 5 or a 6. But yeah. I do have hopes for the future. I do think that there will be some dot preservation character that can synergize with this light cone, and then you can put them with Kafka and whatever other nihility characters come out in the future. But that being said, am I not going to use this because it's not good? No, of course I'm going to use this. Even if, okay, one stack of Sampo's wind shear does more damage than this, but I'm still going to use it for one reason, and that reason is, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I will see you next time.